Yes, yeah. Tell me about that, please. I'm interested in how it is for you from you've been in Berlin now for 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
How is it? How do you experience my home country?
I mean, I just appreciate it actually. I just appreciate where I am. I was at this barbecue yesterday and we were looking around and it was like um just all these different kinds of people and different kinds of things going on. There are things that I don't appreciate about the country, but for the most part, well, I won't say the country because I don't really experience. I experienced Berlin, so
Yeah.
this is Berlin. This is a different thing going on here, right? And
Yeah.
but I really like appreciate it. I don't really um I mean, I just take things into consideration as an understanding of what I need to do to make my existence as comfortable as possible. You know, so I do. I was talking about a time when, like, I went to the bike shop and they refused to speak English to me, right? And but
Mm.
I look at it like, hey man, you know, I'm in Germany. I should be speaking German. It's not their, if and if it's so important to them that they rather not have my money than for, it's their. That's do what you if that's what makes you feel good, or if you think this is the right way to go about your business, go for it. Now I go to the place, I spend my money with the person who wants to speak English with me. No problem, So this is how I look at the situation, and of course there are many awesome things that are happening here as well. So I take it all in. You can't have all good without some bad. And I don't even look at it necessarily. I mean, in the bike shop situation, the only bad part is I know that the guy can speak English because I had been there before and he spoke English. And so, I kind of had less respect for him for pretending instead of just saying I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, and I've been in other. I don't know why I'm in bike shops all the time, but I was in another bike shop and the guy was like, "Yo, man, he didn't say it like this, but he was like, my English isn't good. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to
Mm.
get into this whole thing with you. If I don't understand what you're saying, sorry, that's it. That's your problem. And he was almost like, you should maybe go somewhere else where you know what I mean? I don't necessarily take it as a bad thing. It's just the way that it is, So, um, but overall, I appreciate in this kind of directness as you spoke about. Like they're telling me this is what it is. So that's how I interpret it, and I do enjoy once again the directness of the women here, and but also there's lots of people that I'm encountering that come from other places as well. So it's not all. I'm not just meeting German people. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tell me about the women in Germany from your perspective, like how, like it's really good to hear from another point of view. Like when you said, the women are more direct, like you experiencing that from as an outsider, or like not outsider, but like, coming from another place.
Mm-hmm. Um.
So
Well, you also have to take into account I was living in Montreal before, and I found them to be
true,
quite direct as well. So this
true.
this is not it's not a new experience to me. It was new when I came to Montreal, but it wasn't new when I got to
Mm,
Berlin. Um, it's it's just and I mean, I think we've had like cultural shifts in the way we relate, just in general, like a world culture shift as far as like what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, or what my role is as a man versus someone's role as a woman. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, or whatever. But like, so I can't really say that I'm and and I don't necessarily see people as, I take the individual as they are. You know what I mean? Because I actually have a friend who is almost active, who is German, who is actively being non-German. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah,
Because
I
whatever
understand
her
that.
interpretation of being German is, she's like, I'm trying to do the opposite of that, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I can't, so
Yeah.
she's still German as far as I'm concerned. So, like, I can't say that this is what a German girl is like, you know what I mean? So I just,
Yeah.
so I can't really, I can only speak on individual people.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm,
And I actively try to always think in those terms. Like
yeah.
I want to deal with the individual, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So it took me a while to get to that point because, as you said, like when you mentioned this thing with like transference or whatever, you have an experience with one person or whatever, and then you start saying, "Oh, this person looks like this, so this is what people that look like this do," and
Yeah.
and so I try to just, you know, I mean, I have my own understanding of human nature in general, and so um I say, just as humans, we have these tendencies towards like fearfulness or greed or empathy. Like everyone has these aspects to them in different proportions, but I just have a general understanding of what I think human beings to be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone has a level of selfishness to them, and everyone has a way of justifying their behavior somehow, regardless of how illogical it sounds or whatever. For them, it's logical. You know what I mean? So I have like a general understanding of humans based upon my own experience. So I already have my own lens on it, but I have that general understanding, and then I just think about the individual and interpret what's happening in the moment, you know.
Mm.
So, but I do use intuition as well. But I think it's also just an extrapolation of, oh, see, no, because I'm doing it again. Because what I was going to say is, I know humans can be this way. So if I see them doing this, I've seen someone who's done this at this point. Later down the line, they're going to do something like this. And I'm using what I've experienced in the past to make that judgment. Okay, so I still got some work to do. I still got some work to do to refine it. But overall, I'm still trying to deal with the individual as the individual, not
Yeah.
what I think they represent. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what we all do. I think we all are getting better at that. I feel like we're getting better at not generalizing and becoming more towards the individual. And like you're right, it's like I have, you know, I mean Germany, and you're right, like Berlin is not Germany. Berlin, Berlin is like the world in Germany. It's
mm-hmm.
not like you can't really even compare really Berlin to anything else in Germany. But Germany has really changed. It's become so varied, like after all the refugees came into the country. So a lot has changed, which is for me, like having lived it, as an immigrant in another country for such a long time. It's actually a very, at times I feel more comfortable being in Germany now than I ever was before, because I feel like I share the experience with them, and I can understand the how it is to not be of a country, and how you like, and how it feels, and how there is discrimination and hoops to jump through, and visas and English tests and all sorts of difficult, and misunderstandings, and generalizations towards you, and everything else basically. So you're right, like, you know it's true, like German women and German men can be very direct, but some are not very, like, I have been told I'm not very German, um, which is interesting. Maybe it's because I've lived here for a long time or something, I don't know. But the same happens to me now when I go back to Germany, is that I find it quite hard sometimes to get the Germans. Like, I actually really vibe really well with people who are like the internationals, like the people who kind of, have a similar experience, or just have traveled a lot, and kind of, share that. But the real kind of rigid German, the one, I mean, I wouldn't say that guy was rigid. He basically just said, look, dude, can't help you. But that German rude, like, at times when I go back, I find it incredibly rude. Like, I don't know how many times I have been, just there's been comments made about that I'm walking on the wrong side of the street, where I'm like, nobody gives a fuck. In any other country that I'm walking on the wrong side, but only in Germany, somebody will tell you that you're walking on the wrong side of the street. And like, that happened to me in Berlin, like Berlin of all places. You think, oh, it would happen in Leipzig, maybe, in or like my little village where I come from, but no. So,
but it could have been someone from Leipzig saying it that was in Germany, All right.
Of course. Yeah. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying about, like, the directness, and at times I find it hard sometimes to find my way back in. So it takes me usually a month to find my way back in. And in terms of like, around like individuals, yes, that's true. Like, here I have found that I had an idea about Australians and, certain people, and then I think maybe 6 years in, I met a whole lot of other bunch of people, and I was like, and I said to them, I said, "You're so un-Australian." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you're so honest." I said to them, "You're so honest. Like, you were telling me straight, completely straight, that you really thought it was complete shit that I didn't call you." Like, that is so rare in Australia, that somebody says, "Hey, why the fuck did you not call me? I think that's shit. I'm disappointed." Like, in Germany, that's very common. Like, when I came back to Germany last year, mostly, like, my brother and I had an argument, I think, in the first 3 days about something that I didn't do, and he was like, "Denise, I think that's shit, blah blah blah," and then I said, "Well, blah blah blah." And the same with my friends, so it's like, you always know where you're at, and that, what you just said, like, to me, it feels, I can only describe it as, it feels like a backbone, and I actually feel it, as a security almost, because I don't have to guess. Like, I know where I'm at. Like, I know when somebody says, like, they just, say it out straight. They say, "Hey," like, when I didn't get into art school, for instance, they said, "Well, you're not ready. We're not going to accept you." And it's shit, obviously, but I know. Um, yeah, or like anything really. It's just that kind of you always know where you're at,
Mm-hmm.
and but you can also trust when somebody really likes you and really like really wants to be with you, they really fucking mean that. Like, you know, and they're not just fluffing around and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, let's hang out, you know, because I think you're really cool and maybe we could do this and maybe we could do that. Like that doesn't happen in Germany. Like you're not inviting somebody just out of, um, just to seem polite.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't want them to come to your barbecue, if you don't want to actually call them, you're not going to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but if a German person really wants to be with you, they will tell you. They will say, "Hey, come to my barbecue," and then they will invite you again and again and again, and then at some point you're going to be their friend, and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to stay your friend for a very long time.
Right on, right on.
Yeah.
So
So
this is the same kind of directness that you appreciated, like when you say this person that you were involved with, that you knew you were not meant to be a couple, but because they were
yeah,
direct. So maybe one of the things you liked about him is that he had this German directness to him.
it could be.
Ah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, of course, there was something about it that was very refreshing
Mm.
because it was just so. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it is a cultural thing.